Hi everyone. Thank you for turning into this quick training session. Today we're talking about school newsletters and an exciting important shift that our district is making. Moving forward, we'll be creating and sending all school newsletters directly through ParentSquare using the Studio editor. I know many of you love using creative platforms like Canva, but those present a major barrier for our community. When we attach a Canva PDF to a ParentSquare message, it can't be translated. Over 15% of families at several of our district schools speak a language other than English, triggering legal requirements for translated materials. But even regardless of the percentages at your specific building, every single one of our schools serves families speaking between 27 and 39 different languages. So by building our newsletters natively inside ParentSquare, the text automatically translates into the parent's preferred language chosen in Aries. And as a huge bonus, ParentSquare automatically formats your newsletter to look beautiful on any device, a desktop, a tablet, or a smartphone. So no more of that can't see your newsletter on my phone thing. It all makes sure that the format can be seen anywhere, and it makes your newsletter a one-stop shop where you can directly attach digital forms and permission slips. We'll get a little bit into that at a different training to teach you how to use forms and permissions and other things that are there on ParentSquare. But while ParentSquare's editor might not have every single design bell and whistle that Canva has, it is clean, it's easy to use, and it ensures equitable access for every single family in our district. So let's dive in to see how it works. So the first thing we're going to do is, as you normally do, you're going to log into ParentSquare either through Aries by clicking Communications or just directly logging into ParentSquare. Once you get in, and I'm just going to go to my profile here. What you're going to do first is it's actually pretty easy. If you go to Posts, like you're going to do a regular post on ParentSquare, and you click New Post, you're going to see something very similar to if you were going to be sending a message out to your community. Typically, you'd put who you're sending it to and whatnot. Instead of just writing your message here in the message screen right here, what you're going to do is you're going to click on this little tab up here at the top that says Studio Editor. And this opens the template catalog. So today we're just going to use the basic build template, and later on I'm going to show you, once you build your first newsletter, also how you can save that template, that custom template for you. But we're going to start with something real simple. So if I click that, it's going to open up into an editing interface for your newsletter. So once you're in there, you're going to see styling controls at the top for background colors and fonts. If you were to click on these and change the color, it's going to turn the background into a different color. And so you can choose whatever color you wish. I'm going to choose, I like blue, so I'm going to choose a nice bright blue there. And the other thing that you can do if you want is you can change your overall fonts to any one of these. That looks a little bit more newslettery to me, so that's what I'm going to do. Pretty easy to do that. Those styling controls are there at all times, and you can change them at any time that you'd want. Background, you'll notice as you're editing, everything changes immediately so that you can see what you're doing. The other thing that I want you to see is on the right side of your screen, you have these content blocks. So these are the different kinds of content blocks you can import into your newsletter. In this template, there are already 3 different ones of these content blocks. This is a header block, and you'll see right here, when you hover over it, it shows header. This is an image block, and this is a paragraph block. So you can see a little bit how those are done. So in order to edit one of these sections, you won't be doing your editing on the right hand. This is a viewing pane, and this is going to be your content block and editing pane. So if I want to edit this header here, I'm going to click on it, and once I click on it, it highlights this, And then it shows on the right-hand side of the screen a place where you can edit that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply edit on the screen. And you'll notice that was the title area, and it automatically updated in my viewing pane over here. I want my subtitle. Let's see. And maybe I want to add my date that I'm publishing it to the bottom there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload an image. So if I click this, and I've got a little logo here. So there's a couple of things on this that I want to point out. First of all, once you upload a picture, if I want to adjust that, you see all this space here, I want to crop it. I can click adjust. I can go in and adjust the size of the image so that I can make sure that it's just the image that I want. Click save. That's going to save it. I can change the alignment. I really like that center alignment. Whenever you upload an image, something you need to remember is that there's a legal requirement for visually impaired people to put a description of the image. So if you click into this description of the image, you can either write your own description of the image. I usually just click this generate AI suggestion and it does it for you. You'll notice that we've got all of these things clicked. I could change so this blue is a little too close to my blue background, so I'm going to change it to a yellow background. Oh, that's too yellow. There we go. And then the last thing that I need to do is before I'm done editing this block, I have to click save and close. That's how I get out of the editing of this block and back into editing my overall newsletter. So there we go. I edited my header block that was there. So when I want to add a new block, so say right below this, right now there's an image block right here, and I want to have, let's say I want to have a title block. So a title block is just that. It's a title, a little bit different than a header, but a title. So when I want to enter any new block into this, I'm going to click on what it is I want to add. And you'll notice that there are these dashed lines. And this is so that you can tell it where you want to insert this title block. So I'm going to say I want to add it right underneath here. And remember, I cannot edit over here. This is just a viewing pane. So I have to go over to the right and say my title. And I want my title to be something like The New Year Starts. I can make that heading larger or smaller. And then to get out of that, I'm going to again click save and close. Let's practice that again. So we've done a header, which is this one, and it was already in there. We've done a title, and I've added that right there. Now I want to add a paragraph. So let's see what happens when I add a paragraph. Remember, I click on paragraph because that's the block I want to add. It gives me these dotted lines and asks me, where do I want to put it? I want to put it right here. You'll notice that on this, it's again, I can't edit over here. I have to edit on the right. One thing I want to point out here is that there's a little asterisk on the areas that you're required to put. So you notice that I put a title block before here. So I don't necessarily need a title on the beginning of my paragraph block. And there's no asterisk here. So I can take that off and leave it blank. And that way I'm just writing something that goes in the paragraph. So I'm going to put something here. I'm just, for example, put some text here. You'll notice that in this area, it has its own editing functions here, bold, italic, underline. You can link things. And in this one, I've linked the district website. So that's pretty easy to do. Again, I've left the title off, but I do want a picture in here. So I'm going to upload an image of, let's say, the district logo. And again, remember, when I put an image in, I have to put the alternate text, otherwise it's going to give me an error. So I'm going to do that alternate text there. So this is the other thing with this section. You could put an image link if you want. You don't have to do that. It's not required. But the other thing that you can do with the paragraph block is it gives you a couple of different ways that you can put the layout of this paragraph block. I can do the left image with text, a right image with text, or I can do 2 columns. So very similar. If I click this one, it'll automatically update. If I click this one, it's going to automatically update, but obviously I only have one picture and one set of. So what I would do is if I was doing 2 columns in this area, I would go back to my content and I'd scroll down. And as I do so, I find that there's the right column here. So I would put more information in here. This one, maybe I do want a bit of I got to remember my alternate text. And here's my title for this area. So we're going to do this and put a link in here and some text. And again, to get out of this, I would click Save and Close. Now, if you wanted to make your entire newsletter double column like this with paragraph, you would just continue adding paragraph blocks over and over again to make it go in those 2 columns, or you can add things in between. So let's take a look at a couple of the other blocks. We obviously have an image block already. I don't need to add another one, but if you did want to, you click that and add the image block there. But I already have an image block, so let's say this, and let's say I want 2 columns, so 2 pictures on that block, and go back to the content, and let's say I'm going to add a couple more pictures here. Oh, I'm sorry, over here. And I'm going to go this picture, and remember I've got to put my alternate text. I'm going to do another picture. I'm just picking random pictures here. And I'm going to do the alternate text again. And again, save and close. The other thing I want to show you is that once you've created these blocks, you have the ability to move the blocks up and down just by pressing these up and down arrows. The other thing you can do is you can click and hold on this and drag it anywhere you want in your newsletter. I'll put this back up at the top. Another thing that you can do here is you can add video. So let's practice adding a video. It looks like there's an issue with this one. We need to generate that and save and close. There we go. Did you notice it had that little exclamation mark? It said that I didn't have what I needed. So I went and fixed that. Let's add a video here underneath these pictures. And in order to do that, let's go to YouTube. And I'm going to figure out, let's see what the link to this YouTube video is. I'm going to paste it in here. There is no AI to give you the alternate text, and you are required to do it. Notice there's an asterisk that next to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put LUSD introduction video. And again, save and close, and that embeds that video into there. For video, there are no selections on how to make it different. You can just put one video in the middle there. The last thing after we save and close this that I want to show you, last 2 things, is the button link. So say you have a button, maybe you've done an article on, let's go to this first. Let's go here and put independent study rules. And then I put some rules here, for independent study. I'm not going to put a picture here, but what I want to do is save and close that. And I want to add a button that takes them directly to the independent study link, or the independent study request form. And then I'm going to find the link to that on our district website right here. And I'm going to copy the link address and I'm going to paste it in here and say I want to turn it red so it's easily identifiable, and I'm going to save and close it. Now I have a button right there. Couple of other cool things that you can do and that you'll need to probably do as you're doing this is there's a couple of other functionalities in this system. First of all, you're going to want to name your newsletter. So you're going to click up here. You're going to type the name of the newsletter, draft newsletter. I'm going to put for training. Oop. And once I've done that, it's saved. The other thing I can do as I go is I can click save as many times as I want. It'll show that it's been saved. The other thing that I can do is I can assign collaborators to this. So it's very similar to a Google document. You're going to add the person, you're going to add a message and say, please add your newsletter items on the newsletter by Friday, July, what is Friday this week? Friday, July 17th. Do not delete other people's content. Thank you. And then I would send that invite. Once it's sent, I can go back and take a look at who's assigned to it. And if I want, I can click this little three dots. One thing that I would suggest is that when that deadline, for example, for newsletter items is over, and you don't want it to be changing before you send it out, I would go in and remove access to anybody who shouldn't have access to it any longer so that it doesn't get changed as you're working on the publishing of the newsletter. But that's how you collaborate and assign other people to be able to go into this. And the last thing that I would say is there's one more thing you can insert into your newsletter. It's a content block. It's a divider. It's basically a line. If you like to separate each of your sections by a line, you would click here and click here, and then you'll see that it inserts a line between wherever it is that you've decided to place that. So I put a couple of lines in there. It's just a visual separation on your newsletter. Okay, once you're done with this, what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the top right and click finish. That doesn't mean you're publishing it. It just means you're finished editing it for now. You can always go back to it until you've posted it as a newsletter. So you'll notice here that once you've finished, you'll sit down here in the text of your message, like your post that you've done before. You can click the expand button to see it all. You can even go and preview it. If you're done with your part, here's the preview. This is what it's going to look like if somebody opens it in a computer. And we'll close the preview. If you're done with it and it's assigned to other people, you don't want to get rid of it, obviously. You would go into the little drop down for Post Now and click Save Draft. There it is. So now when you want to go back and take a look at it, there's one thing that might alarm you when you go back to this to put it back up again is if you click on your scheduled and draft posts, you'll notice there are no drafts, and this can be concerning to you. But you'll notice also up here that you have two tabs. This is your regular post drafts. Studio posts is where you're going to go to take a look at that draft again. Click on it, you'll open it up, and you can click edit newsletter again. It takes you right back to the editor. One last thing that I'll show you is if this is the way you want your newsletter, so you've got done doing it, it's multiple content blocks long, that's kind of how you want to do your newsletter every time you do, and you don't want to lose that and start all over again like we did this first time. You can go into here and save this draft as a personal template. So I'm going to call this my draft template for training. number 1. And I'm going to submit that as my template name. It'll automatically say, do you want to go and manage your templates? You'll be able to see your different studio templates. The other thing you'll be able to do when you go home, you go back to your posts and say you want to start your new newsletter the next time, you'd click New Posts, you'd go to Studio Editor, and you'll see the drafts now show up here. So you can go right back to the draft. In fact, you might want to go through and create a blank draft. And when you open the draft, the great thing about it is you don't have to recreate everything. You just click on the block that you want to change the pictures, change the wording. You don't have to redo the whole thing all over again. It's there for you and ready to go. So I'm going to exit without saving this time because I don't need that one. So I just want to make sure that you have the support that you need to do this and pass the expectation along to other staff. One thing that you might want to understand is that when you're asking people to contribute to a newsletter, oftentimes they will create their own little flyer through Canva or some other method. And when you attach an image that has writing on it, this newsletter will not be able to translate that. And so it's better to just collaborate and share the newsletter with someone, and they can just create their advertisement on their own right inside the newsletter with the format that is in this newsletter. A benefit of this is, sure, it may not be as cute or as graphic as the other ones, but it makes it simple for everyone to see on any device. It automatically translates into the preferred language for the family, and it makes sure that all of the things are ready for people to see and streamlined across the district and across your school site. Teachers also have access to the Studio Editor if they're doing newsletters for their classrooms that they're sending home. Please be aware that several of the schools in the district, if that's happening, technically the law states that we should be sending that home in a language in which the parents select. And so this might be a way, again, it's not as cute, but definitely once you get the hang of it, it's very fast, very efficient, very clean, and allows you to do that. As I said before, I will go into some trainings for forms and permissions. If you didn't know already, there's also a way for teachers to set up their parent-teacher conferences within here. The benefit of that is this syncs up with Aries. You don't ever get errors on student names or ID numbers. It allows them to schedule meetings for parent-teacher conferences. It allows them to ask for volunteers or items that they might need for their classroom and all kinds of different things for them to do. So please hesitate to reach out to me, Ben Faubert, bfaubert@lambertsvilleusd.net. And I'm happy to come out and speak to individuals if they would like additional training on this. Thank you so much.